Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Angelica Lima, and I'm honored to present my research today at this prestigious Congress. My topic, Human and Armed Conflict in the Middle East, Human Rights and the Struggle Against Gender-Based Violence in Post-Narratives. Examines the intersection of gender, conflict, and human rights in one of the most complex regions in the world. Let us explore the challenges faced by humans during and after conflict, particularly focus on the Gaza case, and discuss the frameworks for advocating their rights. Here is an overview of what I will cover during this presentation. We will begin with a general overview of women in conflict and human rights violation, followed by a case study on Gaza. I will then delve into the issue of gender-based violence, post-conflict narratives, and the role of advocacy and legal frameworks. Lastly, I will present some successful case study and future recommendation before concluding with some questions for us to reflect. So, the Middle East has a long history of conflict, which has been shaped by colonialism, nationalism, and geopolitics. These conflicts often disrupt social structures, deeply affecting human roles and rights. Humans are crucial contributors during wartime, but their efforts are often overshadowed by male domination narratives, leaving their role in conflict largely invisible. Conflicts in the Middle East have deeply historical roots, stemming from the legacy of colonialism and the complex interplay and nationalist of geopolitical tensions. These conflicts tend to escalate, resulting in a prolonged violence that affect not only the stability of the region but also deeply impact the social structures, particularly human roles in this society. Humans in the Middle East have historically played critical roles, both in family and community life. During wartime, these roles often expand as humans take on additional responsibility to ensure the survival and well-being of their families. Despite this, their contributions in these times are often underreported, with male combatants being on the primary focus in narrative of war. So, gender-based violence in conflict zones is an ongoing crisis, encompassing acts such as sexual violence, trafficking, forced marriage, and psychological abuse. The militarization of conflict zones exacerbates this issue, placing human placing human at even greater risk of being subject to violence. This violence becomes a tool of war, deeply affecting human physical and psychology well-being. Armed conflict lead to widespread human rights violation against humans, including forced displacement, sexual violence, and lack of access to healthcare. So, uh, we know that international framework like the Convention to Eliminate of All Forms of Discrimination Against Human or the United Nations Security Council resolution provides guidelines for protecting humans' rights during armed conflicts. However, their implementation faces significant challenge. These frameworks, while essential, often struggle with enforcement, leaving humans vulnerable during and after conflicts. A stronger commitment is needed from international community to uphold these rights. Women face numerous challenges during and after conflicts, including legal barriers, social stigma, and economical disfranchising. Post-conflicts, these challenges are compounded by the general instability, lack of governance, and weakened social structure. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach, focusing on legal protection, economic recovery, and social reintegration. Now, the situation in Gaza, a case study. Gaza, as we know, presents a critical case study of how conflicts disproportionately affect women. The humanitarian crisis caused by conflict, such as Operation Protective Edge, have left women with limited access to basic rights, including safety, education, and healthcare. Reports highlight a disturbing rise in domestic violence and gender-based violence. Through testimony and data, we see the devastating realities these women endure, and their remarkable resilience amidst adversity. The recent conflicts in Gaza, particularly during this Operation Protective Edge and its aftermath, have caused several humanitarian crises. The ongoing Gaza conflict has severely undermined human rights, particularly in areas as we have already referred. Many women have faced increased levels of domestic violence, with families struggling to cope in the midst of ongoing conflict. This further exacerbates the vulnerability of women in Gaza, making it crucial to address these issues in both of short and long term. Now, we think we need to understand the context and the consequence of gender-based violence. The data from international associations and local interviews in Gaza reveal an alarming statistics, such as a rise in gender-based violence and the significant loss of livelihoods for women. Testimonials from women who lived through the conflict provides harrowing accounts of their experience with violence, loss, and resilience. These voices are crucial in understanding the human impact of this conflict. Gender-based violence in Gaza take many forms, including sexual violence, trafficking, and forced marriage. The psychological and physical tolls is immense, leading to long-term trauma, mental health challenge, and physical injuries. Behind individual suffering, gender-based violence has societal consequences, perpetuating poverty and undermining social cohesion. This highlights the urgent need for comprehensive intervention to address these issues. In Gaza, various forms for gender-based violence are widespread, including all the ones that we have referred. The breakdown for social structures and militarization of the environment have created a culture where such violence is normalized and often overlooked. Addressing this violence in Gaza requires not only immediate intervention but a long-term systematic change. So, the consequences of gender-based violence are profound and long-lasting. In in post-conflict settings, women often work to rebuild their identities and reclaim their agency. However, the process is complex. A societal expectation often conflict with their personal aspiration. Women's contribution to post-conflict recovery are vital and should be recognized and supported in peace-building efforts. For many humans in post-conflict settings, reclaiming their identity and agency is a vital part of recovery process. This often involves navigating societal pressures, overcoming stigma, and finding ways to contribute to their community. Despite the obstacles they face, the recognition of their agency is the key to ensure long-term recovery and peace. So, the human rights for advocacy and legal frameworks. This is very important to include human voice in peace negotiation and reconstruction efforts is crucial for building sustainability and peace. Their experience and perspective offers unique insights that can lead to more comprehensive and lasting solution to the conflict. Human in post-conflict societies often face significant barriers in being heard. Patriarchal structures, a lack of representation in decision-making bodies, and societal expectations that reinforce traditional roles are some of the key challenges. Overcoming these barriers require intentional efforts to amplify human voice and ensure their meaningful participation in peace-building process. International laws and conventions such as Geneva Convention and Istanbul Convention provides a foundation for protecting human rights during conflicts. However, enforced gaps persist. International organizations and human rights organizations play a critical role in bridging these gaps by documenting violations, raising awareness, and pushing for policy change. Effective advocacy strategies such as legal training and coalition buildings are essential to amplify human voices. Working closely with local communities ensure that advocacy is informed by reality of those directly affected. These strategies can help bring about legal recourses and contribute to lasting change in conflict affected regions. So now we can look a small approach to some case studies with some successful interventions. These are inspiring examples of successful intervention addressing gender-based violence, community-based counseling, legal aid, and educational programs have made a significant impact. Grassroots movements, often led by women, have proven effective mobilizing resources and building community resilience. Lessons from this intervention highlights the importance of participation approach and sustaining funding. Grassroots movements led by women have been instrumental in advocating for change. These local organizations are often better equipped to mobilize resources and respond to the immediate needs of women in conflict zones. By empowering women at the local level, these movements create lasting impacts in the community they serve. Effective intervention highlights several important lessons. The necessity, the necessity of involving human in the designing solutions, the importance of cross-sector integration in gender-based violence response, and the need for sustainable fundings. These lessons are crucial for improving the effectiveness of future intervention and ensuring that human rights are prioritized in conflict settings. Future direction, policies, and actions. Looking ahead, it is imperative to integrate human rights into peace-building frameworks. Policymakers must allocate resources for preventing and responding to gender-based violence while also supporting initiatives for economic empowerment and mental health. Sustained advocacy is crucial to ensure that women voices remain central in recovery and reconciliation process. Only through a concerted effort can we hope to build a more inclusive and equitable future for women in conflict zones. Policymakers must adopt a comprehensive approach to ensure that protective of humans' rights during and after conflicts. This includes to implement stronger legal frameworks, increasing funding for human empowerment initiatives, and ensuring that human voices are central for peace building and recovery process. Initiatives focusing on economic empowerment, education, and mental health support can significantly enhance human resilience in conflict zones. Empowering human economically and providing them with the necessary skills can enable them to contribute to post-conflict recovery and rebuild their communities. Also, sustainability advocacy is essential for maintaining attention on human rights in conflict settings. This includes advocating for founding their initiatives that support humans' empowerment and ensuring that human voice remains central in peace and reconciliation efforts. Now, I leave you with some questions so that everyone can reflect about them. How can international mechanisms be reformed or developed to better address the specific human rights violations faced by humans in Gaza and the broader Middle East? What strategies are most effective in ensuring that humans are active participants in peace negotiation and post-conflict reconstruction? Are existing frameworks such the conventions sufficient?